A very good morning and welcome to the Tour de Ski. Stage 3 of 7 being fought out today in the World Championship venue of Oberstdorf. The World Championships held here in 1987 and again in 2005. And they know all about ski racing. Tour de Ski, of course, has been here 6 times in Oberstdorf in the south of Germany. And conditions of the tracks are good. Just about everyone could do with more snow, but at least we will get these races underway. It's a skiathlon, the first skiathlon of the season, and the first one, obviously, of the Tour de Ski. Well, we started in Valmoster. A sprint to start the tour off, Mike, the only sprint being involved, and then of course on to the 5-kilometre classic. Mass start for the women.
It's sharp, it's sharp, a 5-kilometre, but the cream always floats to the top, and very quickly that is what happened.
Heidi Weng and Usberg there. Usberg wearing 5, Heidi Weng wearing 3. Parmakovsky was just about the only one who could go with them. Nielsen survived the pace for one of the 2.5-kilometre laps, but then started to fade. But right from the gun, Mike, the Norwegians were turning on the pressure, and it was Usberg doing the work.
Usberg, she seems to be really at her best form at the moment, and I think Heidi Weng is just a little bit off form, had a little setback over Christmas, and that was nearly a big setback there for Usberg.
Yeah, Usberg said she was furious with herself with her performance in the sprint on day 1. She knew that was a really key race, and she came out here wanting revenge. She got more than revenge, a 7-second lead, and with the bonus seconds that she picked up, she ended up gaining an advantage of over 10 seconds on Heidi Weng, her teammate. Weng really starting the tour this year as favourite. Parmakovsky, the only one who lived with the pace, but she was happy with that. You would have liked to see her a little disgruntled with third. If she's going to win the Tour de Ski, she's got to start beating those two.
I thought at the beginning of that day that Parmakovsky had a chance to stay with them. 11 seconds is still very good.
Feindrich in 4th for Switzerland, her PB. Not a bad day for the Swiss. They did very well, but Feindrich has now withdrawn from the Tour. So there's the podium from the 5K Stage 2. Usberg, Weng and Parmakovsky taking the honours.
A little bit of work after Stage 1 with the sprint. Stage 2, you had a great result, 3rd place. Now you sit 4th in the Tour standings. We're looking ahead to the skiathlon now. It's you're skiing everything well this year, so two techniques in one day must be kind of fun.
Yes, of course. I will be happy by sprint race. I was on semi-final and it's good for me. And of course, this yesterday race in 5-kilometre classic was good for me. I think that I have a little bit too much grip, but I'm still happy that I was on podium, and I exciting waiting this skiathlon race because now my skating style is going better and better. Yeah.
So yeah, we saw, in the 5K that you can stay up front in the classic, and then if you're even more confident in the skate, it could be, it could be a really nice result.
Yes, I think so. But I actually before I don't have ski very well in Oberstdorf, so I hope that I get a good race here.
Well, nice to hear from Parmakovsky. Normally it's the Norwegians being interviewed, having won, but good to see her approach. Things have been going well. The waxing was difficult in Valmoster. It could be difficult again today. Stage 3 of the 2016-17 Tour de Ski. There is the start order, their start numbers corresponding to their positions in the Tour after 2 stages, and it's Usberg who leads. Actually, Usberg led the Tour after 3 stages last year, so she'll be hoping that the story is the same this time round. Kloinen, Randall on a comeback season, not expecting too much from her. Any big surprises, Mike, in terms of disappointments?
I think I was hoping, she's still very good, but I was hoping Kickin Randall, she's 13th, I was hoping she'd be a little more sparky. We haven't quite seen that yet, but ranked 13th is still excellent. I'd like to see her back at her best.
We'll see. What about Charlotte Kalla down in 33rd position? A real surprise. The Swede way off her best form.
Yeah, really, 20-year-old, she won this her first Tour de Ski, and she just hasn't found that magic yet. She's always good at the major championships, though. Remember Falun, she was back to her winning ways then.
Well, there's the Tour leader. Only 51 entries now. They're dropping out thick and fast. A lot of the Swiss team dropped out after the Valmoster stages, generally because they're specialist sprinters. The likes of Feindrich, Van der Graaf has gone, Widmer has gone. Vurik from Italy, Hagen from Norway also out of the Tour. There's Stina Nielsen, won phase 1, a brilliant sprint event in Valmoster, and she hung on for, what, 2.5, 3 kilometres of the 5K. How is she going to contend with today's skiathlon? 5 kilometres in classic, followed by 5 kilometres freestyle. This is the territory of the Norwegians. Harsum, one of the outstanding performers, lying 5th in the Tour. And she's certainly exceeded expectations so far. Only 19th in the World Cup standings, so to be 5th in the Tour is a fantastic effort from her. Still some way to go. A good start, all important, and interesting to see Østberg just dropping the weight down onto the skis. You can't rely on the poles alone. Double poling for the first 150 metres or so, and then they break out of the stadium. And I expect to see a similar story to the 5K Classic we saw in Valmoster, Mike, with Weng and Østberg up front, Parmakovsky hanging on in behind. What for me is going to be interesting is whether Weng looks better now that we've come down from the altitude of Valmoster, because she certainly looks sluggish.
She really did, and yes, you're right, 600 metres lower here at 800 metres in Oberstdorf. And look at Parmakovsky, that's a better start than she had 2 days ago in Switzerland, slipping already. I'm surprised it's -7. You saw them on the start line looking freezing. It's been so warm this season, this feels Baltic to them.
Yeah, -7, about the easiest waxing conditions. Some will be on special blue, some might just go for a little dab of blue under the foot, but it's beautiful conditions to ski in. Parmakovsky actually complaining that she'd got too sticky a wax in Valmoster, so she was very slow on that first lap. Things evened out later on, but they were difficult conditions. Today, there shouldn't be any mistakes in terms of grip wax. What about the glide?
The glide factor again today, back into the stadium. Well, that was unusual. Weng and, of course, Østberg struggling on that left-hander.
Yeah, Weng hasn't looked fully confident on the downhill sections this season. And actually, she came away from the 5K in Valmoster saying she was just happy she hadn't fallen. But that's not the talk of someone who's confident on the downhill stages. Number 4 is Parmakovsky, as you know, having a really good season, the Finn. Just behind her, wearing bib number 6, you may recognise, USA's Jessie Diggins. Now, how's she going to do? If she's going to win the Tour, Mike, I think she's got to make a move today, because she's already 1 minute and 1 second off the pace of Østberg.
Well, I think she's listening to you. She's sticking with the pace. But, you know, Patrick, after her wonderful performance in Lillehammer, then her 4th position in Davos, she was very ill after that, and she barely trained for the next 8 days. So I think we'll see her progressing or getting better as this Tour goes on.
Again, a fast downhill section leading into a flat, so it's all important to carry good ski speed, and Diggins has done well on the outside. She goes from 4th to 3rd to 2nd and drawing up alongside Parmakovsky now. Nielsen in the white, the Swedish colours with those yellow and blue flashes down the bottom of the leg. She's looking comfortable wearing 3. Just behind her is Maiken Caspersen Faller, who's 30th in the World Cup rankings. Looking down the World Cup list, Mike, we haven't had a skiathlon so far this year. The last one actually was out in Canmore in the Canadian Tour at the end of last season, won by Heidi Weng, and in fact it was another clean sweep for the Norwegians.
It certainly was, and I love the skiathlons. You've got to be good in classic, you've got to be good in freestyle, and that's what Parmakovsky leading at the moment. She said she's really worked, or her skating is much improved this year. With the World Championships coming to Lahti, she's put a huge amount of work into becoming better in the freestyle. Used to always be outstanding in the classic, much weaker in the freestyle, so I hope she can stay with it today.
Kerttu Niskanen has made good ground, started back in 20th position, so what, 4 or 5 rows back on the start. I'm not convinced that Parmakovsky hasn't been told to get to the front, control the pace and allow Niskanen to get back into contention, because Niskanen is one of the best skiathlon athletes from the Finnish team.
She is, the girl from Vuokatti, she certainly is. I saw in the last clip we had that Nicole Fessel, she's the local girl, great skis, her glide factor was excellent. She really has moved up from 21st into this lead pack.
Palmakovsky still leading. I think that's Nielsen in second. We'll just check because there are two Swedes now in the leading four. It could also be Setlin, who's wearing 10. I can't believe that Charlotte Kalla, who started 33, has managed to make her way all the way to the front. But Mike, if the pace stays as slow as it's been so far, this really becomes a freestyle race. It always surprises me that the classic skiers, those who are renowned for their classic prowess, don't try and make a break.
It's interesting. As I'm watching this, look at the heartbeat. 190 Palmakovsky, that's pretty high end. 97% of her maximum, Nicole Fessel, and that's why she's moved up so fast. She's on huge burn there. I'm just wondering, Patrick, are the Norwegians under some orders here, team orders, you know? Let's hold back a little bit initially, because if you imagine back in Switzerland, they were leading by quite a long way at the moment. They're definitely not on full speed at the moment.
But they are still up there. Weng and Østberg comfortably positioned. It's Nielsen who's setting the pace. Nielsen will be delighted with this. I think she's actually a better freestyle skier than she is classic. So if she can be with the leaders going into the stadium after the first 2.5 kilometre laps, then things will be playing into her hands. A group of Russians, 18, 30 and 37. Shikalova the best of those in terms of position in the Tour de Ski. She's wearing 18, and Sobolova is in there as well. Now, any others you can pick out from that front group? 21 you've already identified, Nicole Fessel, 10th in the World Cup rankings. Finished a minute 30 and minute 35 off the pace in Canmore last year in the skiathlon.
Yeah, that was interesting. Next time round, Patrick, at this point, there's bonus sprints to be won, and I think we'll see the Norwegians really raising the pace into that. And this climb from bottom to top, it's a 34-metre rise. It's a huge climb in just, what, 200 metres, 250 metres.
But the fact that all 51 are within, what, 60, 65 metres of each other, an indication that the pace is slow. Well, here's another of the fast downhills. Everyone looks safe enough. We could see a little bit of mayhem. If someone takes a fall on that corner, Mike, not much opportunity to get out of the way. No opportunity whatsoever to slow down. That could be a little bit of drama.
Remember Palmakovsky saying her skis were a little slower, too much wax on them back in Switzerland 2 days ago. The same is the case today. Her glide was terrible. Look, she's way down in 10th position. She led over the rise.
Jessie Diggins right up front. She'll be enjoying this, and as you suggested, Mike, Diggins coming back from a Christmas illness, and every time she's raced in the Tour so far, she's looked better and better, sharper and sharper. It would be nice to see Jess getting a win on one of the stages this year. Let's just run through the stages. Skiathlon obviously today. Tomorrow's about a 10-kilometre freestyle pursuit. We then move to Toblach, where they have a 5-kilometre freestyle. That's a time trial event. And then to Val di Fiemme, the final venue, a 10-kilometre classic mass start for the women, and then they finish it off obviously with the 9-kilometre climb up the Alpe Chamis. Now, looking at the times on the Alpe Chamis, which change very little year to year, we know that Johaug won it last year. Elizabeth Stephen, actually, of USA, was second quickest, 32 seconds down on Johaug. Weng, Haga, Kalla, Palmakovsky. Palmakovsky was over 2 minutes behind Johaug. That would suggest that if the Finn's going to win the Tour, Mike, she's got to start building an advantage over the Norwegians in the next two stages.
I think you're spot on with that, and maybe that's why Palmakovsky's team orders are to get out front, try and create some gap going into the freestyle, stay with the pace at all costs. I'm looking at the Norwegians. It seems like, look at the slipping there. Heidi Weng really slipping. They've gone very, very light on their wax, and I think that's what's holding them back here. They normally would see them out front.
Well, the Tour leader now leads the way here in Oberstdorf, and I was talking about times on the Alpe Chamis. We mentioned earlier that Østberg needed an advantage over Weng, assuming they're both in full health and skiing well, of something like 2 minutes. The margin between them last year, 1 minute 51 on the climb of the Alpe Chamis alone. So Østberg will know that by stage 6 she's got to have a healthy margin over Weng.
Oh, very much so. Look at the bonus sprint coming up, and I think you're right. Palmakovsky's been told to get to the front, pick up these bonus seconds, And that's exactly what she's doing.
Nielsen, wearing 3, is the best sprinter of the leading group, and she fancies her chances of taking some bonus seconds. The top 10, the first 10 through, will all get bonuses, and Parmakoski is first through. Nielsen second. Usberg's up there as well. Heidi Weng not too phased, 1.5 behind, but with the top 10 getting bonus seconds, 15 to the first. Actually, the margins are very small.
Very small, but that's a good confidence builder for Parmakoski. Let's check her glide again. A little better this time.
4 Norwegians now in the top 6. That's a familiar story.
Good to see. I think
Charlotte Caller's the one that I'm impressed with. She's worked away from 33rd up into that lead group.
Well, I didn't even notice. I was going to say Setlin. She's having a good. She's number 10 there, but blimey, that's good news for Charlotte Caller coming back into form.
But she's over 2 minutes adrift in terms of tour standings. Charlotte Caller picks up 4 seconds advantage with her effort on the sprint. I think we're going to see Charlotte Caller getting better as the season goes on. The World Championships in Lahti, undoubtedly a focus for her after her success in Falun.
You know, the Swedes, when you look at the Swedish team, men and women, they always, for me, they're one of the teams which can raise their performances at every World Championships in relation to the World Cup racing. They really take time out and focus on the World Championships.
Now it's time to start thinking about the transition, Mike, as we look at their relative positions in the tours. Nielsen 21 seconds behind now, having started 23. Harsam 54, having started 51. Jess Diggins in 6th, which is where she was at the start of the day. Setlin, who was 10th, has gone up into 8th position. And just looking for Charlotte Caller to see how far up the rankings she's gone. But don't forget, she was 33rd at the start of today. So the former winner of the tour, I'm not sure she'll have mixed memories from that, won't she, Mike? Because it was a fantastic performance very early on in her career. But then for what, 2, 3, 4 months, we didn't see her on any sort of form at all.
It was very strange. At 20-year-old, she won the Tour de Ski. She didn't expect it. I don't think anybody expected it. And it is great to see Kala back up with the lead group now.
Yeah, in those days, it was Sweden versus Finland. Nowadays, and for the last decade almost, it's been all about the Norwegians.
Sprinkling of Finns in there, 12 and 8, of course 12 Kiloinen, 8 Muninen. Go from Espoo, which is down in Helsinki.
Heidi Weng there in front in the black bib. So here comes one of the steeper climbs, and this is an opportunity for the better classic skiers to make a break. Generally, they believe that the cardiovascular demands are greater in the classic style, Mike. So this is where those with the top VO2s can start to make a move.
Well, it's like running on skis, isn't it? But involving every other muscle group in your body practically, and it really, really does push up your heartbeat. What's happened to Parmakoski there? She's very, very nicely moved out to let someone pass.
Setlin dropping back, having done a lot of work to get up the front, but she really struggled with that little climb, and that's cost her. She's got another 5 kilometers to do once they change skis. Now, when they change from the classic, this is the traditional style. Obviously, they've got grip wax under the ski. They'll change their skis, perhaps only change their skis. We'll see what happens, but I suggest, Mike, they'll want the longer poles because of the restrictions on the pole length.
I think you're absolutely right. 83% of the total height, the poles. I think they'll move up to about 90% of their total height in the freestyle. Generally, the freestyle, the poles come up to about your nose.
Would you stick with the smaller poles for the freestyle, or do you think it's worth the time changing?
Oh, definitely changing. Yeah,
this, of course, is the first skiathlon since they've introduced those new rules.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if anyone sticks with the poles which are at 83% of your total height, but I don't think many will, or I don't think any will.
Here's the fast right-hander that leads over the little road bridge, and with a bit more space, they're making it look a whole lot easier, and suddenly they're spread out after that long climb back into the stadium. You can see the meter markers that they're approaching now. 5 kilometers completed, 5 to go in the freestyle technique. You really don't want to go out of the stadium on your own, but you could do with a group of 2 or 3 getting a 10-15 meter advantage. It could happen. Østberg wants pole position as she comes round the stadium. She knows exactly where she's got to go. And this is similar to a triathlon transition area, but you haven't got to change your clothes.
It is, and these skis, the classic skis, a little longer than the skis they're going to clip into now, and the skis they're clipping into for the skating, they're stiffer than the classic ones. Now, is she going to change her poles? Yes.
No, I've worked with skiers, Mike, who've taken 5 minutes to change their skis. It's not that easy. You need to be reasonably flexible in the hamstrings to be able to get down there. But the hard bit is getting the bar on the boot to slot into the binding.
It can be. The conditions today at -7 air temperature, -3 snow. There's no clogging of the snow on your boots.
Diggins has lost a lot of positions outside the top 10 now, having been up with the top 4. So that's a bad move. Number 14 is De Bertolis of Italy. 9 just leaving is Lampitz, and we'll try and get you an update on the positions as they come out of the stadium. Østberg, Veng, Kalla, Falla, Kaloinen, Fessel, Parmakovsky. All the big names that you'd expect to be in the leading group are there. Nielsen drops down at 8th, having led the way up the hill. Ringwald and Henning of Germany have done very well. They've made up some ground. Let's have a look at Østberg going through the drills. So change of poles and a change of skis, obviously.
You can't really rush this, or you can panic and make mistakes, but it does look quite slow, and she's clipping into her new skis there.
Well, how about that? Charlotte Kalla, who's done nothing so far this season, suddenly leading the way in the skiathlon here in Oberstdorf, and that will be a welcome sight, certainly to all of those from her hometown. She's a hugely popular figure in Sweden, and she didn't do her popularity any harm at all in the World Championships in Falun.
Oh, she was brilliant, and all the Swedish fans desperate for those medals which she managed to achieve. And I hope this year in Lahti, World Championships there from mid-20th of February, I really hope that she's back to her best, and looking very much there at the moment. Still can't figure, Patrick, why the Norwegians. I just get the impression that they're not opening up into full pace yet, Heidi Veng and Østberg.
Well, could it be that they feel reasonably comfortable? Østberg and Veng are, 15 seconds clear of the next best in the Tour standings. It doesn't sound a lot, but at this level it is quite a healthy margin. They certainly don't want to exhaust themselves today with another race tomorrow, a 10-kilometre freestyle.
And it's a pursuit tomorrow, so based on where they finish today, they will be starting behind the lead time in the order they finish today, tomorrow.
Well, they'll want to win, but I think they'll want to win with as little output as possible. And the way to do that, surely, is to ski 3 of the 4 laps conservatively and then just blow everyone away on the last lap.
I think that is their kind of plan, because or have they been struggling? I don't think so.
Heidi Veng certainly looks better, having come down from the altitude of Valmoster. I don't think she was making excuses there. Those who had done a lot of altitude training over Christmas, and actually thinking of that, the British team, Andrew Young, Andrew Musgrave, certainly in the form of their season.
Oh, outstanding. And Muzzy later today will be starting in the top 10 again.
Yeah, he's lying 7th in the Tour de Ski standings after 2 legs. If he can stay top 10 all the way through to the Alpe d'Huez, that would be tremendous. And he's not a bad climber, Andrew Musgrave.
He certainly is. I'm impressed with the German performance here. We have 3 of them in the top 10. Henning in 10th, and she's only 20-year-old. There's a lovely little nucleus of talented young female German cross-country skiers, so I think they've got a very bright future. Ringwald's in 9th and Fessel in 6th. That was at the changeover.
Were you here in 1987 when they held the World Championships? The days of Vasberg, I think Svan was here, Marco Albarello of Italy, De Zolt, who won himself a medal at some ridiculous age. It was a tremendous championship.
Oh, it was amazing. That was the year I changed from biathlon to cross country. But you were here. How was it the same tracks as they're racing on now? I think it was mostly.
No, well, the tracks now are about 5-6 meters wider. That's for sure. I certainly remember the hills being fairly brutal, but they were the good old days, only 2 years after the skating had been introduced, so it was still relatively new. And every time you went out on the track, someone was trying a different technique.
It was an amazing time when it had been classic skiing forever, and then all of a sudden, skating was introduced in '85.
And actually, it was many years before they improved the pressing of the track, which has been largely responsible for the fact that they now ski at what, an average of 26, 27 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, very much, very much. Two athletes moving forward there, Patrick. For the Russians, that's good news that Polina Kalsina is up now at the front. And for Austria, Stadlober, Theresa Stadlober, beginning to move up into this lead pack.
So Palmakoski still on 83%. Sorry, they didn't keep that caption up for quite long enough. It's always nice to see the work rates of the athletes. It's a bit of a prediction. I think they go 220 minus your... Is it 220, 250 minus your age?
Well, that's that's allegedly where it is, isn't it?
And then work your pulse out from there. But I was always told, Mike, that it's not necessarily your high pulse that is so crucial. It's the difference between your resting pulse, which for a lot of these athletes is down below 40 beats per minute. The difference between that and your highest pulse.
Yes, I mean, so a lot of these athletes will have a very low recovery pulse, probably around, what, 150. Some of the men are down as low as 130 in terms of recovery.
What, 130 per minute?
Sorry, 30. I'm having a bad thinking moment. Yes, 30. Some of the men will be almost below 30 beats per minute in recovery, and the women around 45, 50 in their absolute recovery.
Well, Charlotte Kalla obviously enjoying the moment here. She's starting to make her move, having already thrown away 2 minutes. I'm not sure whether she had a bad wax day. Look at the skis of Jessie Diggins coming down into the stadium. She's a good alpine skier, Jess Diggins, and that certainly showed on that corner. So important to be able to carry the speed or even accelerate on the bottom corners. She's done well, put herself in front with just 2.5 kilometers to go. Kalla, Weng, Østberg, Nielsen, Fessel still there. Kaloinen looking good for Finland, and Kaloinen, just trying to remember what she did in the last of the skiathlon events that we saw at the end of last season. I think she finished in 5th, just 10, 12 seconds behind the Norwegians who won on that occasion. Heidi Weng it was who took that win out in Canmore. Randall in 29th position. We've not seen her old form, hasn't come back from her year off quite as dramatically as Marit Bjørgen has. And if you're wondering where Marit Bjørgen is, she's decided to sit out the tour. Therese Johaug, I'm sure you know, has been banned and cannot compete in the tour, but still the Norwegians are there in numbers. Well, from a bunched group, Mike, it's single file, and I think it will stay that way for the rest of this race, because those at the front are just going to get faster and faster. Is Jess Diggins after her second win of the season? She's certainly looking really good. Mike and Kaspersen Faller has sensed that Jess Diggins is onto something. She's nipped in behind the American and trying to feed off her as they make their way up this big climb. Østberg leads the right-hand column. Behind her is Heidi Weng, just trying to keep an eye on her main opponent for the Tour title this year. I think actually Heidi Weng will be happy to stay with Østberg all the way through to the Alpe Chemise and then win the climb up the hill, because I cannot see a change, a difference of more than a minute 50 swinging Østberg's way.
No, I don't think so. Poor old, of course, Nielsen there getting tripped up. There's a bit of a roadblock there. That was number 12, Kaloinen, getting tripped up as well.
Yeah, and Natalie von Siebenthal of Switzerland, who's had a good tour, she got held up. At least she didn't go down. No problems for the front 6 or 7 athletes. 22 is Sadie Bjørnsen, so 2 Americans in the top 6, and the Americans are starting to make a habit of doing well in the Tour de Ski.
This is great news, and I'm beginning to wonder, just looking at the glide there again, it looks to me like the 2 Norwegians, who maybe we thought would be leading at this stage, they're being caught by most of the others around them on the glide. Is it possible the Norwegian wax band technicians have got something wrong today? Has happened in the past.
Well, it's happened a lot in the past, but this is the sort of day where you shouldn't make mistakes. There's a lot of artificial snow around, which complicates things, Mike.
And it's been so warm lately, hasn't it? The ground is very warm, therefore, and it's all machine-made snow. And I think it's quite difficult. It's powdery, it's very dry up top because all the damp is sucked through onto the ground. And this machine-made snow, not as easy as normal for waxing. Of course, it's very much about the base of the ski as well.
Keep an eye on Nicole Fessel. She's just at the back of this group for Germany, but the pace is going to get brutal, Mike, and you just feel you need to be in the top 5. You've got to be somewhere where you can match any move that is made out front. If you're further back than that, you're going to have too much work to do, and on that count it means that Stina Nielsen's going to be in trouble if Østberg or Weng go for a break on the next uphill section.
I'm just trying to think the best climbers because we're closing in on that big final rise. Sidney Bjørnsen's a very good climber. Nicole Fessel is a good climber. They might move a little forward, but it's the big names out the front.
Yeah, Weng and Kalle are great climbers. Østberg's on better form than we've seen from her for a long time, so we can't rule her out of this one.
Well, this is exciting times. It's a very long time since we've seen so many in a skiathlon in the women's field sticking together after 25 minutes.
The last of the skiathlons was over 15 kilometres. The winning time on that occasion, 39. This is going to be considerably quicker, and they're going to be easily sub 30 minutes.
This is good news for Sweden. They're almost roadblocking if they can up this final climb. They can buy themselves some bonus by cresting this big rise first, but I don't think the Norwegians will allow it.
Well, I think you're right. Østberg just checking her basket. I think she thought that the basket had been ripped off the end of her pole, and that would have been a disaster for her. Faller's made a move on the right-hand side of the track as she looks at it, left-hand side as you look at it. Weng is now starting to impose herself in the black bib. Nielsen doing really well, exceeding expectations, the sprinter. Kalle's starting to fade after a good performance so far, but this hill could end her chances of finishing in the top 5. It's Nielsen leading, Weng on the far side, Diggins digging in there as she always does in third, and Østberg, the tour leader, down into where's Østberg gone, Mike? Is she down in 5th, 6th, or has Østberg taken a tumble?
Well, she had that issue with her ski pole. I thought she was still in there. No, she must have had an issue. She's about 12th at the moment.
Yeah, she's dropped right off the pace and in danger of losing her tour lead, because there are bonus seconds as they come into the finish. It's Nielsen who leads up the climb, looking for an advantage as they start the descent back down into the staging. Diggins, Weng, Faller, Bjørnsen. Watch out for Østberg. How far behind? Her lead at the start of the day over Weng was only 10 seconds, 10.3, and still, well, she's just gone through, some 15 seconds down.
The ski pole she's been given is her left ski pole. It's way longer than her right, so she's skiing quite awkwardly up that big climb.
Just the wrong place to lose the basket on the end of your pole, and it won't have been her fault. Someone will have skied over it. Lucky it didn't actually rip the pole out of her hand. We saw it happen to Petter Northug in the Olympics back in 2010. It cost him a gold medal. Nielsen now turns on the skating sprint that we know she's good at. It's Diggins fighting for that first place with her. The Norwegians are not going to win this one. Nielsen in the middle of your picture. Diggins on the far side, but maybe she put too much effort to get into a good position. And it's Nielsen who wins her second stage of the Tour out of 3 for this season. And that's a tremendous performance. I certainly wasn't expecting that. She was 23 seconds behind at the start of today. She gets a 15-second bonus for that performance, Mike, and I think Nielsen picked up good bonus points on the intermediate.
I'm so impressed with Nielsen. We heard her say after day 1 that she felt magnificent in the sprint. She is an out-and-out sprinter. She's carrying that form on to day 3 of racing.
Well, that's the price the Norwegians paid for not pushing the pace on the first 2 laps.
It was quite amazing. That you'd felt they could have opened up a little more in the classic style, and they must have been so confident they could take this victory. Jess Diggins had another thought on that.
And that's
second place.
Over 10 kilometres. That is the best performance by an American in an endurance race. She took that record earlier in the season in Lillehammer, but I think she's improved it now.
Well, of course, that was her victory over 5 kilometres. In fact, no, it was 10 kilometres in
well, exactly.
Lillehammer.
Yeah, exactly. The Americans traditionally have been fantastic at the sprints. 13 wins for Keegan Randall over the sprint distance. There is Randall just finishing 28th ahead of Carl. Stephen, who we mentioned earlier, is a brilliant climber, but she's lost another minute to the event leaders in the Tour, perhaps even more than that, when the bonus seconds are added on. Well, Nielsen started the day in third position. Usberg's finishing time, Mike, how much has she lost?
So Usberg, she's down
I've
in
got a 19 seconds or so behind.
position, 19.2 behind.
19.2, so the
it's all changed
lead,
at the front.
I think, has changed. It will change because Weng is going to pick up bonuses as well.
Now the Germans were doing well, 3 in the top 10 with 2.5 kilometres to go, but Nicole Fessel finishing in 6th. She'll be delighted with that, only 8 seconds behind.
Well, there's only one woman in your picture who's been on the podium in every race so far, Heidi Weng of Norway, and as a consequence she is going back into the red bib as the Tour de Ski leader, and that's a change from last year when Usberg led at this stage. But stage 3 last year was actually a sprint event which played into Usberg's hands.
Yeah, very much so. They're very different this year. It's all kind of endurance events from now, and that'll be very interesting tomorrow in the pursuit competition, with Stina Nielsen leading out by only 0.2 of a second ahead of Diggins.
She's got a great future, still young, was in the Under-23 World Cup last year. I couldn't find any of the top performers in the Under-23 World Cup who were still competing in the Tour. Feindrich's one of those who's well positioned, got some good points from sprinting, but she's withdrawn from the Tour after the 2 events in Valmoster. 29, that's Scardoni of Italy.
Well, von Siebenthal, the Swiss athlete, she's still only, what, 23-year-old. She did win 2 years ago, though, 2015, the Under-23 Junior World Under-23 Champs title.
Well, here's a repeat of the sprint finish. Nielsen got pole position coming round the final corner, and Jess Diggins couldn't use her cornering skills this time to overtake the Swede. But I guess when you come into the last 200 metres, if Nielsen's in front, Mike, there aren't many women who could beat her.
No, I did think, well, Diggins is a good sprinter as well. I kind of hesitated to think this could be a real fight for the line, especially with Jess Diggins' fast skis, but she didn't quite make it.
Well, there's the margin, a good 2 feet, maybe even more than that. Heidi Weng another couple of metres further behind, but consistency winning the day for Heidi Weng.
No energy to walk, let's crawl.
Good race, very good race, but dubious tactics from the Norwegians and all the good classic skiers who could perhaps have gone harder early on. Let's have a look at the results. Nielsen, Diggins, Weng we know about. 27.23 the winning time. Faller in 4th. Sadie Björnsson and Nicole Fessel. That's a photo finish yet to be decided. Parmakoski in 7th. Charlotte Kaller, who was right up the front, actually pushed down at 8th in the end. But the biggest surprise, Ingvild Usberg of Norway down in 13th position, 19.2 seconds, plus the bonuses given away to Weng and Nielsen. Parmakoski, Mike, another of the big contenders, 7th place today.
8.5 behind, that's good news, and she did pick up, remember, some of those second attack, the bonus seconds.
On the second loop. The men racing over 20 kilometres incidentally, so they've got 4 laps classic, 4 laps skating. I think we're likely to see a procession for at least 3 of the classic loops. I don't think anyone will want to go too early. And now we have the standings in the Tour de Ski. I thought Heidi Weng would be leading, but Stina Nielsen seems to have edged through. Only 4 seconds in it. Now, that's all to do with the bonus seconds, Mike, because Nielsen did pick up good bonus seconds on the first intermediate time, which was on that second lap. So that's a slight surprise. Weng pushed down into 2nd, and Usberg has now got work to do. 10-kilometre freestyle tomorrow, and then in Toblach It's only a 5K freestyle time trial. It's going to be hard to claw those 2 minutes that we think she needs. Usberg's going to struggle, I think. That could be a turning point for her.
Well, she's still there in third, remember, so and freestyle tomorrow, that's her cup of tea. I think she'll catch them up as quick as she can and stay with them, if possible. But it'll be an exciting day.
Yeah, a pursuit tomorrow for the women, and it should be a cracker. 10 kilometres the distance. Well, it's beautiful weather. We could do with a little more snow, of course. There are the overall World Cup standings, and Heidi Weng is a decent margin clear. She extends it from 35 to 63 points with today's run. Palmakovsky still sitting in third. She'll be delighted. Stina Nielsen, who won today, up into fourth. Faller of Norway, 5. And don't forget, at the end of Tour de Ski, there's an absolute massive points poured onto the winners tally, and that in so many years, Mike, has actually determined who's won the overall.
Oh, so much. Yeah, it's a big bonus. Take the hundreds of points here. An athlete we haven't really sung too loudly about is Faller. Now, she's an out-and-out sprinter. She finished fourth today. She was determined. She stuck with the pace, and it managed to come through into fourth place. Now, that keeps it exciting for Faller as well.
And that indicates again that the pace early on was slow. 27.23. That's not a quick time for 10K. And the tracks are quick, as we've seen.
It's quite an unusual outcome, I think, but an exciting outcome to see Stina Nielsen at the top, Jess Diggins, other nations getting onto the podium.
Charlotte Kaller coming back, or do you think we just saw her because everyone else was skiing so slowly?
I think she's coming back, and that's always an indication she was able to stay with the pace, but I think her form will get better and better. It often is an indicator when you can't fight for the line. She lost 8 seconds. But she stayed with the pace most of the time. Now,
be honest, is Stina Nielsen a threat for the overall title of the Tour de Ski?
I'd love to say yes, but my heart says no. Given the final climb, you know, that's a big deciding factor. I'm not sure she's the strongest climber, although in that final climb today, she was brutal.
Diggins' time up the Alpe d'Huez last year, 2 minutes 30, slower than Johaug. She gave away, a minute 40 to Heidi Weng. So Diggins, as we suggested, needs to make a move. She's done her best to do that today. She could have done with the extra 5-second bonus, but she's shown us what a talent she is. And I think last year she didn't have so much at stake on the Alpe d'Huez. I think if she's competitive and there's a chance of winning, we'll see something special from her, because she's got it in the head where others don't.
Oh, and you need that in the head factor is a huge factor when you're tired after 7 very hard days on the Tour de Ski. Fatigue plays its part.
I think we're going to see Nielsen as an overall winner in not too many years' time. She's shown us that she can sprint, and so many sprinters turn into brilliant endurance athletes as well. Look at Marit Bjørgen.
And Stina Nielsen has improved so much in the classic style. Her freestyle was always a little stronger.
Yeah, and if there was any difference between her and Diggins in the last 200 metres, Mike, it was that Nielsen held her technique together.
Especially on the climb, I thought she would lose a little on the climb, but she made herself go to the front, and she stuck with the pain, the discomfort in her legs, and as you say, her technique was anchored. No inefficiencies at all.
There she is, what a day. She's in red. It's not Heidi Weng who leads the Tour de Ski. Only a 4-second difference between them, but that's always a nice one for the CV, an extra bonus in terms of financial gain. Heidi Weng, who leads the World Cup, has picked up 84,000 Swiss francs this year for her efforts. That's not a bad haul.
Lovely little bonus into the Christmas break, and then into the Tour de Ski now. And Heidi Weng, that is surprising for me. She's normally a very strong finisher. She's normally a very good climber, but she was slightly weaker in that last 1 kilometer today.
I think there's a tactical effort going on with the Norwegians. What a start we're going to have for the pursuit tomorrow. Love that picture.
shows the effort, the desire these girls had today. Diggins and Nilsson, they really wanted to say, listen, it's not just about Norway, there are other countries that can take these titles.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many fans of Østberg and Weng out there, but it's good for the sport to see someone else win. An American win would have been fantastic. Diggins, of course, has already had one this year, sprung a surprise on us in Lillehammer, but at least she's shown that that was not a flash in the pan. We're going to see much more from her this year. Maybe in the 10-kilometer freestyle tomorrow, she can do something special. 3 stages complete. 4 still to go in the Tour de Ski. We finish off on Sunday the 8th of January, and it's the traditional finish to the Tour de Ski, the climb up the Alpe Chemise. Always a little bit of drama. We don't always have a race, we always have a fantastic atmosphere, but often we know the result before they even start.
Well, I'm just thinking, hopefully this year, that was a surprise today, really. I think I'm sure everyone's a little surprised that it wasn't Norway 1, 2, maybe 4, but it's different today, so maybe this will keep the Tour alive and close to the very end.
Here are the sprint standings in the Tour, and Nilsson leads that one as well. Weng, Østberg 2 and 3, Faller, Palmakoski, Harsem's had a really good Tour, still up there in the rankings. Jess Diggins will have improved her position with that 2nd place today. So that completes our coverage from Oberstdorf for now. We do, of course, have the men's skiathlon coming up later on. Martin Jonsrud Sundby looking to extend his lead in the Tour de Ski. Hope you can join us for that later. But for now, from Mike and myself, goodbye.